All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Fuaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we've got PlayStation games, PlayStation Plus games for September. We got games with gold for September. We got Absolver launching and doing well. We got Dead Rising 4 coming to PS4. And we've got some more awesome Monster Hunter footage. And finally, we'll have our question of the day. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we played this week. So I jumped in and played. I downloaded XCOM 2 War of the Chosen before I left on my big trip, which I might talk a little bit about because there were some video games during that trip. So all I can say as soon as I downloaded it, I was like, great, it's downloaded it, and rough start, really rough start. Now it's not the game itself, but it's a lot of things that I care about that other people might not. So basically, what I didn't understand about War of the Chosen is because this actually isn't a DLC expansion, this is more of a new game. When you download War of the Chosen, when you boot up XCOM 2, it asks you, would you like to play vanilla XCOM 2 or play War of the Chosen, right?
Okay.
So that basically meant that all of the mods that I had downloaded were not compatible. And I went, fuck. And and the thing is that I have a lot of fun just customizing my guys with all this, cool helmets and gear and modular stuff. Now, I guess it was unreasonable to expect people to have modded, basically what's happening right now is that all the mods, the cosmetic mods especially, all the modders are essentially getting all their files together and trying to make War of the Chosen compatible versions of it, right?
Yeah.
So basically what it means is that for probably the next month, a lot of my mods, I'm going to be waiting for them to get their War of the Chosen equivalents, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little bit of a bummer. The other thing that was because it's a separate thing, all of my saved characters in my character pool were missing. So I had all of these customized characters with backstories and personalities and facial features and whatnot and so forth, and I just had to kind of go, all right, well, I got to make new ones now. What was the other thing?
Don't you save? I thought you saved them into a pool. You can't pull your pool.
I can't. Well, the thing about this is that you save them into a pool, but I would have to essentially drag the files over. You literally go into the XCOM 2 folder and drag them out, go through that, copy paste into War of the Chosen, and it was I didn't want to actually do that. I technically can, so it's not it's impossible, but it was just a little bit bummer that it wasn't just there. So I was whatever. That wasn't really that big of an issue. What else was there? The other thing that was a little bit annoying was there are very few new cosmetic options for your soldiers in the beginning.
I was actually just about to ask that. It's weird that's what I was most excited for.
Yeah, there's very few new stuff. There's a bunch of new options for the new classes. You're not stapled to having them look a specific way. And it seems what they did is that they gave you a lot of new customizable cosmetic options for the Reapers, the Skirmishers, and the Templars, which makes sense. That makes sense, but at the same time, we didn't really get a whole lot new. And a part of me kind of goes, well, I think I understand the mentality behind this. Is that I think Firaxis is kind of why are we spending time and money making cosmetics when modders are doing it for free and doing a better job than we are? So I can kind of understand them why they didn't bother putting any cosmetics, by putting that many new cosmetics, but it was still a little bit disappointing because the thing that I have the most fun with playing XCOM is literally just sitting around spending hours customizing my soldiers who are going to die in 2 missions.
And then you're gonna, save scum and bring them back to life.
Oh, absolutely, because that's how I roll. But that being said, once the game started, I was having a ton of fun with this new edition. The tutorial mission sets up, it explains to you how the Reaper Soldier works, how the Skirmisher works. It explains how the Lost function works. The Lost is actually a lot of fun to play against because they're very easy to hit because they're usually always out in the open, right? But where the challenge comes from is that you really have to manage your ammo because usually you'll let's say you have your grenade. Let's say you're playing with your grenadier, right?
Yeah.
And you explode a car that kills 2 of the Advent soldiers, and like, great, I got rid of them. Sometimes you might be in a mission in which that can trigger a Lost Horde, and that will spawn 12 Lost, like, which is a lot. But if you have your ammo like all full, you can kill about maybe 4 of them with 1 clip. So it's pretty good. I mean, like, overall, it's that's pretty good and a lot of fun to play against. What was the other thing? Skill trees are a little bit different now. So the new classes have their own weird customizable skill trees where it's not like you select one or the other like in XCOM 2, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, their skill trees are like it goes from left to right, but usually you'll get 3 different options or 2 different options. And how this works, and this has actually been added to the old classes as well, is that every mission, characters will gain ability points when they level up, along with ability points that that you gain as a whole for your XCOM unit, right? For completing missions. So, for example, when you level up, you'll get 6 ability points. If you complete a mission, the XCOM force will gain like maybe 4 ability points or something like that. So what you end up doing is you have this little new mentality where like you can save your points, and if let's say there was a particular part in the old tree, like think back, let's say there was the Ranger tree. Let's say you wanted Blade Master, but you also wanted the conceal ability. You know the thing where it's like you start concealed with it in every mission.
Yeah.
You can just save your points or use your XCOM pool of points to buy both abilities now.
Okay.
So it's more of a skill point system now. So it's really interesting, and it makes it so that I can see a lot of new classes being built, you know? Like, it's not going to be like, man, I have to choose between one or the other. It's like, no, you can have it all, but you're going to have to use a lot of points to get it all. And you're going to have to sacrifice getting other abilities to do so. So I find it's a really interesting system that's going to lead to a lot more customizable options as far as how you kit your characters. So that's...
It also sounds like it's going to make the end game extremely easy.
Well, we'll see, because I haven't gotten to the Chosen yet. So first off, the Chosen, which are the 3 mini bosses, they are really, really actually a lot of fun to play with. They are a lot more well thought out than the alien rulers for a couple reasons. One, they don't have the bullshit in which they get to move after every action, right? Yeah. Which I hate. They don't get extra turns. They have very well stated weaknesses. Like, for example, the first one you fight against is the assassin, right? And her gimmick is that she'll turn invisible, she'll come up and slice someone with her sword, and then she'll run away, right?
Okay.
But she's super weak to explosives. So 1, explosives do more damage to her, and 2, they also, when she gets hit by them, her movement speed is decreased. Right?
Okay.
And she's susceptible. She takes more damage from the Reapers, right? So if you're going on a mission that there's a chance that the assassin will show up, if you have a Reaper with you, then you're gonna have a lot easier time. But her strengths are also pretty crazy. 1, she does not trigger Overwatch. Period.
Ooh.
So Overwatch just does not work on her. And one of the things that she will do is that
Battleborn work on her?
Sorry?
Nothing.
You. Fuck, you should be marketing for Battleborn right now. Hey, 2K, you should buy Battleborn while you buy your expansion for War of the Chosen. You'd make Randy proud, man. You make Randy proud. But the other thing that's really interesting is that they will actually sometimes they won't actually kill your units. They'll capture your units instead. And the reason that they do this is because they have their own little system called knowledge. So how it works is that in the game, they have a knowledge meter that has 4 pips. They start out with 1 full pip. Now, every successful mission, or they're doing their own missions, right? And every time they succeed a little bit in their missions, or capture a soldier, or defeat you in one of your missions, they gain knowledge from that, right?
Okay.
Now, when the knowledge goes up to 4 pips, they make an assault on your base.
Ooh.
And the kicker is that if you lose this mission, it's game over.
Oh.
So what it effectively does is you have to kind of really take into account not only the Avatar Project ticker, but the Chosen ticker now. And the other thing I also heard about that I think this was explained in a trailer is that if you don't kill the Chosen before you do the final mission, all of them will show up in that final mission. Like, not just, like, all 3 of them. So that final mission becomes very fucking hard. And it was already a hard mission to begin with. So I can only imagine what that shitstorm would be.
Okay.
But overall, it's really, really, really good. There's actually just one other little thing I want to talk about that I find is interesting. So, what you can do now is that it's hard to explain, but basically you can build this thing called special operations, right?
Okay.
And what you do is that the Reapers and the Skirmishers and the Templars, they will ask you to send soldiers to do missions, right?
Okay.
You don't actually get to do these missions per se, but you send them on a mission and there's a success rate, and there's 80% success rate, a 95% success rate or 60% success rate, right?
Okay.
And it's important to send some soldiers on these missions because, one, you can send them to kind of counter-react the Chosen. So if you want them to gain less knowledge, you can do so. You can send them on missions to get extra supplies, gain intel. And the cool thing is when they do these missions, there's chances that they'll get just static bonuses. Like, if they complete this mission successfully, you'll get +5 to your will and stuff like that. So what that essentially does is that it fixes part of the problem that makes the game very easy for Save Scum McGee over here. Is you get your A team, right? And you essentially you get the what was it, the healing bay, the Gen Bay or whatever, the healing bay, and you have an engineer in there so that your characters are coming back in like 2 days from just getting shot, right? Now that's not going to work anymore because now you're given the option of sending them to do important missions, and obviously the stronger they are, the higher percentage of succeeding on those missions is. So you don't really want to throw rookies at certain missions, these special operative missions, because they'll fail, and worse, if sometimes there's conditions in which if you fail, they'll get captured, which means the Chosen gain more knowledge. But that's basically everything that I've seen so far. I only really played 4 hours, but overall I'm liking it so far. Other than that, I went to Fan Expo, took the train over to Toronto. I beat Sonic Mania, which was the Sonic game I was talking about. Really, really, really good game. I really, really enjoyed it. That last level is insane. Like, there is some crazy freaking concepts, and you have to. It's a difficult level, but it's like the last level, right? So it makes sense that it would be kind of tricky to work your hit around.
Yeah.
Overall, the game's really good. There are a couple levels that I feel are kind of like the quality kind of dips a bit. You know, there's one that I think they pulled from Sonic 1 called Lava Reef, and it doesn't really feel very fun because you're not actually moving very fast in those levels. You're kind of slowing down a bit and doing more platforming. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But other than that, the game's great. While I was at Fan Expo, I finally got to get my hands on Detroit Worst Name Ever.
Really?
Yeah, they had a booth, so I walked over and I checked it out. And okay, so I'll do the rundown of I'll do the rundown.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Okay, so the thing that always scares me is that David Cage is really good at selling you on his games and his demos, right? Because he usually picks a really, really good scene from his game and makes sure that you don't see any of the bullshit that you're going to experience later on, right?
Okay.
However, I will say this, that I did enjoy the demo. You basically, the setup is that it's the hostage. There was that trailer in which it was the hostage negotiation.
Yeah.
That's the demo. The demo is
Oh.
you're an android who's trying to convince another android to let the hostage go, right?
Uh-huh.
And the cool thing is that you essentially recreate. You're going around in the room and you're actually recreating what happened to gain knowledge. So basically, you start the demo. You have a 60% probability that he's not going to kill the hostage, right? So there's a 40% chance he'll just kill the hostage. And if you gain more information about him when you do the negotiations, that percentage goes higher. So it rewards the player for looking around, finding clues. There was a really cool thing where it's like you recreate what happened and you can find the gun, a gun that was shot, right, by one of the security guards. So you can pick up that gun and put it in your pocket. You can figure out the android's name. So you go to the negotiation part, and I like the fact that there's this percentage meter, and every right thing you say gets you percentage higher of getting him to let him go. Anything that pisses him off brings it down lower, right?
Okay.
So you're slowly moving up, trying to get closer, and I had this moment where I was like, I got an idea. So he asked me, do you have a gun, right? And I say, no, I don't have a gun. See, there's nothing in my hands. I couldn't possibly have anything in my back pocket, right? So I move forward. He believes me, and I move up and get closer and get closer. I'm bringing him down to 99% success rate that he'll let the hostage go, right?
Yeah.
And when you get there's a certain point where you get really close, and there's an option that is locked that unlocks.
Okay.
And I was talking to the demo people after. It's like they hadn't actually seen that option unlock.
Oh shit!
So the demo people were like, "Wait, what? You unlocked that?" And I was like, "All right." So I just pulled out my gun and shot him in the face. And he fell down, and then it was like, mission complete, and I walked off like a badass. And the Sony people were like, "Huh, I've never actually seen that before." And I was like, well, that's very mean. But it's like also at the same time, I was talking to them, it's like, well, what would have happened if I hadn't shot the gun? And I'm like, well, they would have gotten shot by a sniper anyway. And I'm like, oh. So that's so like the demo was actually a lot of fun. But the one thing I will say though, it controlled so poorly. Holy crap. Like just moving your guy around, it was bad. It did not feel good because basically how it works is that the camera's way too close to your model, so it's very hard to steer your character. It's not like Uncharted where you've got your camera's fairly far away and you can kind of have a good amount of control over the camera and where your guy's moving. Here, it's almost like you're driving a car. That's what it feels like, and it's very clunky. So my hope is that maybe they will fix that, but I doubt it. I very likely doubt it.
Yeah.
But that's basically my super long week. What
Oh,
about you, Fuaz?
I was gonna say, oh, that's like a solid half hour of the podcast.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had a long week. I did a lot of stuff.
but okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty darn cool. Yeah, for me, it was a pretty simple week. I finally decided to bite the bullet and play because Overwatch's season 3 just started.
Right.
Yeah, it's not well, not season 3, season 6, I think. But yeah, the new season just started. They made a couple of changes. For one, they've reduced the length. The season's only going to be 2 months now versus 3 like they used to be. King of the Hill is going to be best of 3 now versus best of 5 like it used to be.
Mm.
A couple of other things like with the SR rating, and they added a report function to consoles. However, from what I'm hearing, the report function on PC leaves a lot to be desired because simply reporting people generally doesn't result in anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, look forward to that. But anyway, that's my long-winded way of saying I started playing ranked, and I decided because like the past couple seasons, because I'm mostly a tank player,
Yeah.
I play a little bit of healer, and I've got like one DPS that I'm competent with. But
Mm.
all in all, I'm a tank player, right?
Right.
And for the past couple of seasons, I've been a Reinhardt player, a Reinhardt/Winston player, because people are always like, oh, can you play Reinhardt? And then I'm like, sure. So I started learning how to play Reinhardt because people were always asking for Reinhardt and blah blah blah. But anyway,
Right.
and this is something that I didn't think about at the time, right? The past couple seasons I've been placed in gold. The first few seasons in the game I was platinum.
Mm-hmm.
But I barely used to play those seasons, and then the last like 2 or 3 seasons I've been gold.
Mm-hmm.
So this season I was like, okay, out with all that bullshit. I bought this game because I like Zarya. I'm playing Zarya. If y'all don't like it, report me.
Right. 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 Right.
So yeah, I've been playing Zarya, and it's been going really well. I finished my placements 2 days ago. Well, by the time you guys hear it, it'll be like a week. But I finished my placement a couple of days ago, and my first couple of games were pretty bad. The first game was good. We lost. I mean, it was a loss, but it was a close loss. It was on Gibraltar, and we would have won if our Ana wasn't stupid and kept pushing in front of the Reinhardt. Okay, real quick digression. I'm sorry. I don't understand this obsession Ana players have with playing her like she's a tank or something. My favorite one, quote unquote, was like my fourth placement game.
Mm-hmm.
We start off. I'm playing Zarya. Our teammate picks Ana.
Right.
I'm standing at the choke and I'm just waiting, and then all of a sudden I peek, to try and get like some damage, and I see our Ana standing there directly in front of their spawn, trying to sleep dart one of them. She gets hooked and killed, and I'm like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, Anna is not like I understand. I understand the mentality where it's like, oh man, the sleep dart, it's gonna set up an amazing play, but you're not a tank, and you don't have a lot of health, and you can't just friggin' like boost yourself to stay alive. So.
But here's the thing: even if you hit the sleep dart, right? Then what?
Yeah.
What's the next part of your plan? There's a group of 6 people. There's 6 people in a group together, right? If you hit a sleep dart on the Mercy, and I'm playing Winston, I'm not diving into 6 people to go kill that Mercy, and I have 500 HP and a shield, and they dive on a 5-second cooldown, and I'm not getting in there. So like what exactly have you achieved?
Yeah.
People just don't think, man. People just don't think. But anyway, we lose that game. Then the next couple games are okay. Like one of my games was on Horizon, and it's like the best game I've ever played on Zarya. I finished with like 60% average energy, which is the highest I've had. Okay, like I had one game very long time ago where I had 69% average energy, but it was on the old Zarya before they nerfed her energy gain by like 20%.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I honestly think as far as smart bubbles and stuff are concerned, that was hands down my best game. Then I played this one game, King of the Hill, and this brings me to another point that I mentioned last week, but I'm going to not last week, a couple of weeks ago, but I'm going to reiterate again, and that's that negativity will cost you more games than off-meta picks.
Yeah.
Because like we get into this game, and I pick Zarya because like I said,
Right.
and then this person on our team picks Mercy, and this person picks Widow, right? And the Mercy starts complaining. he's like, oh no, Widow, you're gonna throw a game, you're gonna throw a game, and I was like, okay, you know what, whatever, doesn't matter. He's picking Widow, there's nothing you can do about it. Let's focus on the game. So we push in and we win the first team fight. We cap the point and we're holding for like 50%. Then we lose the team fight and the Mercy starts whining again. It's like, oh, it's like 5v6 the whole time. And then Widow, and then he keeps calling the Widowmaker all kinds of names. And the Widowmaker is like, okay, well, if you're gonna keep telling me that I'm throwing, then I'm actually going to throw. So then the Widowmaker just threw. Widowmaker just stops playing. He just stands in the corner and just doesn't do anything. And it's like, okay, sure, this Mercy is sitting here thinking, oh, this is this Widowmaker's fault that we lost. But in reality, it was Mercy's fault that we lost,
Yeah.
Like, we were probably going to lose that game anyway. I don't think that Widowmaker was very good. And we were probably going to be fighting 5v6, right? But at the end of the day, negative in my life, playing Overwatch, I've never been in a game where someone calls somebody out for doing something wrong, and that plays out well. Never.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that. It's just not even like trying to be constructive about it, but just complaining.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. If it's a situation where, okay, you look at his account and you see that, okay, he plays Widowmaker, but he also plays a little bit of Genji, right? And then it's like, okay, cool, we've lost the first couple team fights. Hey, Widowmaker, the Widow might not be working. Maybe try Genji or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even say, or just be like, oh, wow, if only we had a Genji, right?
I like that. I like that subtlety.
Yeah, because, okay, for example, a couple games later, me and these other kids were playing, and we're on Nubis, and there's a Symmetra on offense, right? This is awful, right? This is absolutely awful. Like, you never want to do that. But I was just joking about it, right? I was like, because one of my friends was like, oh no, Symmetra, and I'm like, oh no, I think this Symmetra is going to carry us. 4 gold medals guaranteed. Mm-hmm. We lost because of the Symmetra, straight up, right? We drew because of the Symmetra, 100%. But for me, I'm like that. Okay. We drew because of the Symmetra. If I had called this Symmetra out and then he started throwing, we might have just lost that game. And you know what? Okay, sure. A draw, it sucks, right? It sucks. And if that Symmetra had been literally any other character, like I genuinely believe if that Symmetra player had picked any other character besides maybe Torbjorn, we would have won that game. Yeah. But whatever, like we drew, which would have been better than him throwing and us losing, right? Like, I don't like, okay, I understand why people do it. I'm angry and I want, this person is upsetting me and I want to upset this person back. But at the end of the day, everybody loses when you do that, Yeah. The two idiots started ranting at each other because the Mercy was gold, the Widowmaker was diamond. Widowmaker is like, oh, well, I'm diamond at least, so, what are you talking about? And then the Mercy is like, oh, and then I just had to mute both of them. And me and the Farah, the two of us are just like, we go do our own thing. And we actually tried. We did okay because, we were fighting 5v6 and our Mercy wasn't paying attention half the time.
Yeah.
But, we still lost. But yeah, I finished my placements and I got placed in, like, high platinum, which caught me completely off guard. So last season I was 2100. This season I got placed 2600, and then I won a couple games after my placement. So I'm at a career high 2700. That's the highest I've ever been. I'm still like 300 off of diamond. And honestly, like, one thing that people have told me, well, at least one thing that I've heard that makes sense to me is that try not to focus on your rank, try to focus on just getting better. So, like, instead of that, I'm focusing on my average. I'm like, I want to finish this season averaging 35% energy. My career high is 28.
Right.
So, no, 29. 29%, but that's 29% as like the whole 60 hours I've been playing Zarya, my average is 29%. But for this season, I want to see how much I can improve and if I can average 35. Right now, I'm at 34. So, obviously, if I finish at 33, I won't be like, oh, this has been a failure, right? Because that's still a 4% increase, which is a lot considering, like I said, that 29% was on pre-nerf Zarya.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, 34% would still be really good. But yeah, so that's what I'm focusing on this season. I'm trying to improve my game. I played a couple games with some people. These were the nicest people I've ever played with, and this will be the last thing I say before we get into news because I think we've been talking about what we played for about an hour now. These are the nicest people I've ever played with. They said two things that just warmed my heart. First of all, we're playing. We play a couple games and I play Zarya, and then this one game I'm like, oh, do you guys want me to go with? They're like, no, Zarya is amazing, and I'm like, oh my god,
they do believe in me. I am a good Zarya player.
But the best one was when I was like, I finished my placements and I was like, holy shit, I'm in platinum. I was in gold last season. They were like, you're in gold? You're so much better than a gold player. I'm like, oh my god, I
That's great.
But anyway, we have some news to talk about.
We got some news. Would you like to hit us up with PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold?
Okay, so this is a really good month for PlayStation Plus. So, the two main games that we get are Infamous Second Son and Strike Vector EX. So, Second Son, I'm not going to bother downloading. I played the First Light when they released it like 3 years ago, and it was okay, but like when I played it, Jason was like, "Oh, the Second Son is really cheap right now. Maybe you want to pick it up?" And I was like, "No." I enjoyed First Light, but I can't imagine playing like 30 hours of that game. That would get very, very repetitive. So I won't be touching Second Son. However, Strike Vector EX, it's a multiplayer online shooter where you use like spaceships, and it's like a dogfighting type game. The game was dead on arrival. I can't remember when it launched. It launched sometime last year and it was absolutely dead on arrival. There was the online is completely dead. So when I heard, like one of the reasons why I never bought it was, and I know this is the self-fulfilling prophecy, but because the online was so dead, I was like, I'm not going to buy this game. But then, the online is dead because people didn't buy the game.
Yeah.
However, now that the game is free, I'm definitely going to pick it up, and hopefully this, injects an influx of players into the game, and, maybe this is the shot in the arm that the game needs. However, I've heard that the game is really difficult to play, so yeah, maybe the game is doomed, but at the very least...
Well, I mean, like, you could hope that the Rocket League thing happens, because Rocket League was a pretty popular game when it came out, but I feel like when that game went free, it exploded.
Yeah. Rocket League being free was one of the best things that those developers did. So, maybe this happens. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping for the Rocket League effect here because, I watched some gameplay of the game and, like, I haven't played a game like this in a very long time. So I was excited to give it a try. And then the game comes out and I check the Reddit and, like, the top Reddit thread is like, oh, wow, where are all the players? I'm like, okay, we'll be buying you. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be downloading this. It's coming out tomorrow or, like, a couple days ago, depending on when you guys hear this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a couple of other games but I doubt anybody here cares. It's funny, the PS3 games that they're giving us, they're actually just scraping the bottom of the barrel now. I can't remember the last notable PS3 game that we've gotten.
I mean, I think, what was it? I think there is a Yakuza game that they released that was...
Oh, yeah, like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the PS3 games are Truck Racer and Handball 2016. And then the video games are We Are Doomed and Hateful Boyfriend.
Oh, okay. No, that's God tier. That's God tier right there.
Actually?
Do you even know what that game is about?
I mean, I know it's Japanese, with the name like Hateful Boyfriend.
It's a parody game. It is it's one of those Japanese romance games. Like, you go in high school and you date people, but everyone is pigeons. Everyone is pigeons. And it's fucking so bizarre and hilarious because, like, they're giving... they show JPEGs of, like, these different birds. And each bird is like, oh, he's the sophisticated bird. He's the bad boy bird. And it's so freaking funny. Oh,
yeah,
my God.
Googling it. Yeah, it's just images of pigeons. Wow. Only from Japan. So yeah, these are the games that you get. Oh, here's a bonus for PlayStation VR owners, all 6 of you. PlayStation Plus members in the US and Canada will also get Riggs, Mechanized Combat League, as a free bonus game from September 5th through November 7th.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, for like I said, all 7 of you that bought PlayStation VR, knock yourselves out. I will be picking up Strike Vector EX and nothing else this month.
I'm gonna continue my trend of playing every Infamous game for free. Because basically what happened was that Infamous 1 I got for free because that was during the Sony hack. My friend lent me Infamous 2, so I got to play that for free, and now I get to play Infamous Second Son for free. So, and I actually did enjoy. I actually did kind of enjoy those games. I thought that they were actually fairly well written, all things considered. Like, I was shocked when I finished Infamous 2, I was like, wow, that was a lot better written than I thought it was going to be. And it had, like, a pretty emotional ending, too. So, that's why I'm like, yeah, I'll give Second Son a chance. Why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah, for me, it's one of those situations where I'm like, I've got so many games, like, that I need to play, that I currently own. I really don't have the time to be.
Oh
Like,
no, I know. You're preaching to the choir, man. I mostly will be downloading it to put it on the very bottom of my list.
Yeah, because like I mean, part of the problem is that Overwatch is so easy to just pick up and play. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I'm like, oh, I want to play something, I'm like, okay, I'll just play some Overwatch, right?
Right.
Whereas something like XCOM, for example, I'm done with my classic
Commander.
Iron Man playthrough, which you should check out on our channel, by the way.
Yes,
If you
you
haven't.
should check out.
So
I'm very happy about the survivability of a certain someone.
so anyway, so if I wanted to start playing XCOM again, I'd have to start off a new campaign. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll hold off on that. Then The Witcher, for example, The Witcher, if I want to put The Witcher back in, I'd have to reinstall the game, which is like 60 gigs. Then I'd have to re-download literally all the DLC. So all 15 of those free DLCs that they released, plus the two plus the two expansion packs, I'd have to re-download all of that.
Yeah.
Then there's then Persona's kind of game that I can't just pick up and play, right? I sit down and I play for like 5 or 6 hours, but if I come back from work and I have to go to bed in 2 hours, it's like Persona or Overwatch.
You're gonna play over, yeah, easy, cause like Persona's like, well, that's what I was talking when I was doing my freaking trucking through Persona. I was dropping like 4 to 5 hours a day, basically. And half of that would be just going through story, hanging out with people, and having a good old time, and then the other half would be grinding in mementos. Getting my characters all leveled up so that when I got to a boss, I just didn't get immediately stomped.
Yeah, and then like the worst part for me with Persona 5 is that with 4 I owned it on the Vita, right? So like I owned it, so I bought Persona 4 while I was in school, but then it was like an hour-long bus trip to school every day, so I just played on the bus. But 5 isn't on the Vita. Because I ride the bus for like 3 hours every day, going to and from work, and that's not going to change once school starts. It's actually going to only get worse. So yeah, if Persona 5 was on the Vita, it's weird enough to say I'd have finished it by now. Oh, actually, I wouldn't have, because Tyler still holds my Vita.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, I lent this bastard my Vita in what, March? No, it's way more than March. When did I finish Dark Souls 3? Because that's when we did the trade. So I want to say...
Wasn't that last year?
Last year, yes. I want to say it like last year. I lent this bastard my Vita. And in his defense, when we showed up to trade back, and I was giving back his Dark Souls 3, I've got to ask for my Vita, because that's what you do when you own a Vita. You forget about it.
You forget about it. It's like, what is this Vita?
Well, I would have thought that he would be honorable enough to be like that. Oh yeah, we're doing our trade back. Okay, you giving me back Dark Souls 3. Here's that Vita that you gave me a while ago.
You know what? I feel bad. I feel bad now for why. So why don't on the weekend you can just come on down to Farhaven and I'll just give it to you, and then all will be right.
Bastard. He's like, oh, I feel bad for what I've done. So why don't you get on the bus for 3 fucking hours on your day off to come get the Vita back from me?
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
oh, sorry. Before I forget, Xbox. We're never going to finish this podcast.
Oh
today.
no, we're not. Just fucking go. Let's just do this. We can do it.
So Games with Gold also had a bunch of games this month, and it's pretty awful.
Oh,
they have Forza 5, which I think is 3 Forzas ago, because there was a Horizon that came out and 2 other Forzas for all you mathematicians out there. Mm-hmm. So they got that for free. Then they got Oxenfree, which I've never heard of. Hydro, Thunder, Hurricane, which I've also never heard of. And then Battlefield 3? Haven't there been like 2 more Battlefields? Yeah, Battlefield
there's
1.
Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and if you count Battlefield Hardline.
So yeah, there's been 3 Battlefields since Battlefield 3. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Battlefield 3, from a technical point of view, is better than Battlefield 4. Because the only thing I know about 4 is that it was bug ridden.
Well, it was bug ridden, but at the same time, Battlefield 3 the community's probably completely dead right now, because all the Battlefield people are probably playing Battlefield 1 at the moment.
Or 4, or Hardline.
Yeah, so it's like, that's going to be like, you're playing that for, I guess, the single player, but even then, the single player in that game
is awful.
It's awful. Battlefield single players are usually pretty terrible. And, like, I've already expressed how I don't give a flying fuck about car games, unless they're kart racers. So, literally, this entire list has nothing for me. Literally nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, this
So
is a pretty bad month for Xbox games. Go. Hopefully they step it up next month because I think the past couple months have been kind
meh.
of weak. You know,
Mm-hmm.
have been reflective of this whole year for Microsoft. So
Yeah.
hopefully they step it up soon enough. This is going to be a two-horse race between Sony and Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go from one positive bit of news to another, even more positive bit of news,
Mm-hmm.
Absolver, the online kung fu martial arts fighting game mishmash
Mm-hmm.
thingamahoosit, launched, and it is Devolver Digital's biggest launch ever, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, which is not saying a lot. This is Devolver Digital we're talking about. They mostly, I think, one of the highest selling games was Hotline Miami, which is not
Yeah.
that, which did not sell that highly. But however, this is good. You know, success is success,
Yeah.
and I'm glad. It's always nice to see fresh ideas. I couldn't even like this game is such a fresh idea. I don't even know what genre to call it. I just had to
Yeah.
call it. I had to call it a mishmash description. You know, so you know, I'm happy for them. I'm really
Oh
happy for
yeah.
them. I definitely won't be picking this up anytime soon. But I might, you know, once because apparently the you know is it has some online issues that they've patched that they recently
Yeah.
patched, so that's good. But it's also the bigger issue for me is that it's severely lacking in features right now. But you know, it's an online game. This is one of those online commitment type games, so I'm
Yeah. It seems like it's one of those kind of games where it's like it's not as bad as the Street Fighter Five situation, but it's
yes.
also like you also know that down the road this is gonna get a huge amount of stuff. It's kind of like how I feel with like FF15, where like the game has a good amount of content, but at the same time I know that the DLCs are all gonna come. I know there's gonna be a super pack for that game, so
Mm.
I'm just gonna wait. I'm literally just gonna wait for everything to be released.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's funny you were talking about Hotline Miami, and I didn't put it on the list, but I'm just gonna briefly mention there was an amazing fucking trailer for the new No More Heroes game
Oh
that
yeah.
just came out for the Switch. And the thing about that trailer that's so fucking weird is that Travis is in a goddamn trailer, like an actual trailer, and he's just on a chair and he's playing Hotline Miami.
Huh.
Like straight up the music and everything. And it's like, wait, what? And then he has a big sword fight with his beam sword. And then the fucking like the Travis Strikes Back comes in like Stranger Things font. And I'm like, are they gonna go for like a super 80s kind of feel with that game? Because that would be kind of fun. That would be super super fun. I'd be down for that. But yeah, it just got me thinking about that. But Absolver, I really hope that yeah they fix some of the technical issues because it's really conceptually it looks like a really interesting idea. So I want it to succeed for sure, and it seems like it
Yeah.
is succeeding with a good launch numbers like this.
Uh-huh. So hopefully they you know they keep it up. They keep it up. They don't do the Ubisoft and let the community die out before they start fixing some of the
Yep.
launch issues. But yeah, best of luck to them. Now, one company that really needs our luck right now is Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
So Capcom recently announced that Dead Rising 4 was coming to the PS4, and the biggest surprise in this announcement
Mm-hmm.
was that it made me realize that it wasn't already on the PS4,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty much reflective of how little I care about this game. And this
Well,
franchise as a whole. You know, the sad part is that the first Dead Rising was, you know, I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but it was something interesting when it launched on the Xbox 360. And then they've just found a way, as they always do. Like I give them credit, you know, they always find a way. If nothing else, I give them credit for their consistency when it comes to killing their own franchises. So, they found a way to kill this one too. They killed Lost Planet,
yeah.
and they've killed Devil May Cry, and yeah, they've killed Dead Rising now. I think what sums up my feelings on this is the best is the top comment on this article. I'm glad this is coming to PS4 because now no one can claim I'm just a PlayStation fanboy when I say it looks stupid and terrible.
So here's my feeling about Dead Rising as a whole, and this is part of the problem I have with Dead Rising 4, and it's not even about how the game looks. So basically, I liked Dead Rising 1 because I liked Frank Castle. Frank Castle's a pretty cool character, right? I liked him a lot. And I liked the goofy tone of that game. I also liked the goofy tone of Dead Rising 2. They were both very colorful, goofy games that involved zombies during a time where every game had to have zombies, but they also had to play deadly serious.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a breath of fresh air at the time. So when Dead Rising 3 came out, and instead of seeing like colors and New Vegas or like a mall, I saw like this gray like shopping center. I was just like, ugh. And with Dead Rising 4, you could argue, yes, it looks a little bit more colorful, even though things are a little bit darker. The problem with that is that they're like, oh man, remember Frank Castle? Remember how cool Frank Castle was? He was the coolest, right? So they bring Frank Castle back, and he's not even being played by the same voice actor. And the problem with that is that when you're watching the trailers, he's not acting or anywhere close to what Frank Castle was in the first game. So it's like the character is completely lost. So it's like I don't understand what this game is. I don't understand who this game is for anymore, because it's not for people reminiscing about Dead Rising 1.
Frank Castle?
Yeah, Frank Castle.
Frank Castle is the Punisher.
Yeah, no, you're right. Who am I talking about? Fuck.
Frank West!
Frank West! There we go. I knew I had that wrong. I was like, You know what? If Frank Castle was in a Dead Rising game, that would be fucking rad.
I was just sitting there like, Frank, that does not sound right. So I don't know if you can hear me typing, but I googled this shit. I'm like, before I call Tana out, let me make sure I'm not the one who's messing up right now.
There's a lot of Franks. There's a lot of Franks in this world, all right? Like sometimes you get them mixed up. They're both wearing like leather jackets. They both shoot guns. Anyway, so
acting like Frank Castle, I give you that much.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I just want to point out as far as like the multi-platform thing is that it wasn't multi-platform with Dead Rising 3. Microsoft went out of their way to make it an exclusive for their console. So that was the big thing about the Xbox One when it came out, is that this was the only way to play Dead Rising 3, right? Mm-hmm. But the game underperformed according to Capcom, so basically they said, well, fuck that, it didn't work on Microsoft's console, let's do it on the PlayStation 4 this time. So that's the main reason why people are talking about this. So we'll see how it goes. But something I do care about way more than Dead Rising is Monster Hunter World footage. Yay!
Yeah, so so at Gamescom, Capcom held a little co-op. They had some of their developers play a little game, and they cut together a nice trailer of them playing, and the game looks like fun. There hasn't they didn't really show anything new per se, unless you spotted something new.
They showed a little bit. It looked like there was a mechanic where you could hit R3 and do something, maybe zoom in on the monster that you're hunting, or something like that. But I think this is where they officially showed the mantle, the gliding mantle that we talked about last week, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like they officially showed it. The one thing that I thought was pretty cool is that the four people playing were it was the black guy with the beard. He was part of the community, the Monster Hunter. He's like the lead of the official Monster Hunter community for Europe, I think. And then the other guy his name is Azarek, who's a really big Monster Hunter like YouTuber. He posts everything about the weapons and stuff like that. So they actually brought him in to play it, which I thought was really cool. And then finally, it was like the creator of the Monster Hunter series, along with like one of the producers, I think, playing it as well.
Okay.
Which I thought, because it was basically like the two Japanese guys on one side are talking to each other and coordinating, and the other two like people who can speak English are like talking to each other and coordinating, but they're not really coordinating as a team because two of them can't speak the same language.
Yeah, you see, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but that was what I thought when I was looking. I was like, that those two guys on the side don't look like they speak a whole lot of English, and these guys don't look like they speak a whole lot of Japanese. So I don't know, man. This team doesn't look very balanced.
They're not very balanced. So I mean, granted, there's a lot of times when you're playing Monster Hunter in which like people they don't use their mics. They just sort of do their thing, deal damage. So, but honestly, this footage looks really, really good. I liked some of the stuff that they showed. I like the fact that they showed how you can combo with the swinging mechanic.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool. He missed though.
He
After all that,
missed, yeah.
after all that hard work, he runs up. He's like, "Yo, check this out, check this out." He runs up. He swings onto the tree, goes into the air, puts on the kite, flies down, and just misses his strike. And I'm like, "You dumbass, you absolute goose."
But you know what? That's so funny because you know what? I have to say that's very reflective of the actual game. Is that there are very cool moments that you can pull off, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're always gonna pull them off. You know, like you're gonna have to actually work to pull them off. So I thought that was pretty fun. Honestly, cool trailer, cool trailer. Unless you have anything else you wanted to say about it.
I mean, you talking about how people just, they don't coordinate very well, and they don't use their mics, just reminded me a lot of Overwatch. But no, not a whole lot.
I will say this about its coordination goes. It's not as bad as Overwatch as far as coordination goes because it takes a really bad Monster Hunter player to fuck up a hunt. It takes a really very rarely will you have a mission in which the only way you can really fuck up a hunt is if you go underprepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more than ever, it seems like there's multiple ways to prepare because now you can change your gear, you can grab items from your box during a hunt now. You couldn't do that before. So what would happen before in other Monster Hunter games is that you'd have somebody, go with kind of mediocre armor, so they're already going to take a lot of damage from every hit, and then they would go, "Oh crap, I forgot my mega potions." Whatever, I'm sure we'll be fine. And then they would get their ass kicked, and when you die 3 times during a mission, it's just quest failed.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it works in this one, but that's usually how it works in every Monster Hunter game. Is that you have a pool of losses, or sorry, a pool of basically if any of you die, what I mean basically if the team if in the team total, if any of you die 3 times. Any member of your team dies equaling to 3, then it's mission over, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot
for feeding in this game.
Yeah, there is a punishment for feeding, but it's also it takes a lot to feed. If you were purposely feeding, that's one thing, but it's not like PvP, right? Mm-hmm. It's PvE. So the whole point is that you're working together so that you can get materials. So throwing really doesn't make a whole lot of sense in Monster Hunter. So that's not something you're gonna have to worry about.
I mean, throwing in general doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but let's not even get into that.
Yeah, I know. But overall, cool footage, cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
So we got a question of the day from the wonderful J Streets.
Shout out to J Streets.
And he's asking us, why does it appear that with many esports games, the North American region seems the middle of the pack compared to its foreign competitors?
Well, that's an very easy question. Because of the culture, plain and simple. Let's go with Guilty Gear as an example, right? Back in the day, America couldn't touch Japan in Guilty Gear, and it was a very, very simple reason. Guilty Gear was popular in Japan, and it just wasn't popular over here. Steel sharpens steel, When the top 10, top 20 best players in the world are all playing in Japan, the 21st best player is most likely going to come from Japan because he's been played against the other 20, And then there's also geography. This is one thing that some people don't even think about. Is also the geography, right? Japan's a very small. Obviously, I'm using Japan as an example here, right? But Japan's a very small country, right? Especially in comparison to the United States or Canada. If I'm the best Elfelt in Canada and I want to practice against the best Zato, but the best Zato lives in Vancouver. Well, that's the end of that.
Exactly.
We're not playing against each other on any kind of with any kind of regularity. For God's sake, there's people who are both in New York that have issues playing with each other because of how big New York is, right?
Yeah.
The main thing is the culture. Using Overwatch as an example, right? You look at Korea. Korea has an esports culture. They have They cultivate talent. Oh, actually, sorry, because I have so many different ideas and reasons in my head. The best example I can give is actually look at the Olympics, right? Look how well America does at the Olympics, and that's because America has a system, a system for scouting talent, a system for cultivating talent, a system for training talent, and then that system generates money, which then goes back into the system, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You get the better players. Because you get the better players, you get more money. Because you get more money, you have a better system to then train the players, and it just continues like that ad nauseum. And it's the same thing right now with most esports. America has been late to the party on practically every single esport compared to Asia. Because I mean, like, it doesn't matter what game. I think America is number one in like Counter-Strike, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And there's probably like one other game that America is really good at. But practically every esport, I think one of the like League Dota, one of the MOBAs I think America is good at too. But other than that, most of the time you'll find that the games that America are good at are the games that like Asia doesn't care about. If Asia cares about a game, they're generally better than America at it. Simply because, and this isn't anything about them being inherently better. It's because they have a system that just makes them better. It trains them. Like for God's sake, Japan still has arcades. Like, how are you even going to compete with that in any fighting game? When you look at
you can think about it in the sense where it's like, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to go and practice like Tekken, right? Yeah. I would have to go find someone in my community who can play Tekken relatively well. We'd have to go find a setup, right?
Yeah.
And then I would have to have my gear. I'd have to hook everything up, and it would be a whole thing. Like, it's and you think of like all those hours of prep and travel and whatnot, especially in Canada, because Canada is so big. In Japan, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the arcade where there's a Tekken machine and just play whoever I want. So it's a lot easier to access certain like training tools, and it is also the culture as well, in the sense where it's like, their gaming is such a bigger part of culture in Japan as a whole, or in Korea as a whole, compared to some of the North American regions. Like, especially North America, or like America specifically, it's like, there are a lot about sports, like physical sports, like, soccer. Well, not soccer. Like football is the big example for Americans and whatnot. And the Olympics, as you said, whereas Japan, they have boot camps, they have like specific things that they tell their esports players they can't do. I watched an interview with one of the Korean teams for League of Legends, and they're talking about how their coach said that you're not allowed to have a girlfriend until you win Worlds. So it's like shit like that. Like, they take it very, very seriously, in a much different approach to how they train their members. So it's like that is, I think, part of the issue is like, yeah, it's the lack of being able to practice against the top players and be able to prepare yourself for those kind of strategies, I think, is a big thing. Just how difficult it is to practice against top tier players, and also that's just the culture in general. Like, there's a very, very, very different culture in esports for North America than there is to like Korea or Japan.
Yeah, and it's also funny, like, just to add to that point, you look at Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4 came out in the arcades like a year before it came out on consoles in America, and America could never touch Japan in Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 5 never came out in arcades. It came out on consoles simultaneously in Japan and in North America, and arguably the best, if not one of the best players in the world, is currently an American. So little things like that, little things like the game coming out in arcades and giving Japan a 1-year lead, and also the fact that the console culture, like in regards to fighting game, the console culture isn't that big in Japan. It's mostly the arcade culture. So when you take that away from them, well, this is the result. America beating Japan pretty consistently in Street Fighter 5. So yeah, it really just comes down to culture. That's the one consistent thing across practically every single game. It's the culture. It's the culture. It's the culture. And America has a pretty good, I mean, compared to other countries, America has a good esports culture, which is why they might never be the best, but they're never the worst either, right? Yeah. But like there are other countries that are ahead of them. Now America is stepping it up. You know, there's universities that are giving what are these things called? Scholarships.
Grants.
Based.
Yeah,
scholarships and grants based on different esports. You've got the Overwatch League becoming a thing. If that becomes a thing, because like Overwatch is mostly it's mostly an American game. You know, like I mean, Korea is the best at Overwatch, but Overwatch is still...
yeah. Like I know what you mean. Like it's like. Yeah, we have some pretty decent players, but at the same time, it's like no, like Overwatch is being dominated over there. So, I mean, like that's Sorry, what were you gonna say?
While we're on topic of America and Korea and Overwatch, the Overwatch World Cup is happening. So they did the group stages a couple of weeks ago, and that was really fun to watch. Well, it wasn't actually; it was very one-sided. But the top 8 is happening at BlizzCon, and they recently did a draw to figure out who was playing who. The top 8 were like America, Korea, obviously, Canada, shout out to Canada, Canada, Australia, Great Britain, who really, really impressed me actually, and a couple of other countries, France, I think, and then 2 other countries I can't remember. However, they did a roll to figure out who was playing who in the first round. I think Canada drew Australia.
Right.
America drew America drew Korea. So everybody, the memes have been going strong ever since then. Yeah, America's done. They're not beating Korea. But yeah, that is my very long-winded, convoluted way to answer a very simple question. Why is America usually middle of the pack? Culture.
Just culture, man. But great questions, J Streets. And if you've got a question for us, don't forget to leave it in the comment section. And we'll make sure to answer it in the next podcast. And as always, this is your host, Will Liberty, and...
Mohammed Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time.